Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, there is a concrete dome filled with the most radioactive soil on Earth, and it is cracking. Beneath the Greenland ice sheet, a Cold War nuclear bunker has been buried for 60 years, and the ice above it is melting. Governments built these places in secret. They never planned for what comes next. 1946, the United States chose one of the most remote places on Earth to test its most dangerous weapons, the Marshall Islands. 67 nuclear detonations over 12 years, 67 bombs, each one tearing the Earth apart, each one leaving behind soil contaminated with plutonium-239, a radioactive element with a half-life of 24,000 years. In 1977, the U.S. Army collected 120,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil, enough to fill 20 Olympic swimming pools, and buried it inside a missile crater on Runit Island. Then they poured concrete over it. They called it a temporary solution. That was 47 years ago. The dome was never designed to last. It has no liner underneath, no barrier between the radioactive soil and the groundwater below. Today, the dome sits just 25 feet above sea level. Ocean water laps at its base every day. The concrete is cracking, and the sea is rising. Scientists from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution have already detected plutonium leaking to the groundwater beneath the dome, not immeasurable, growing, and entirely unstoppable under current conditions. The Marshall Islands government has petitioned the United States repeatedly. Their argument is simple. You built this. You buried this. The ocean did not ask permission to rise, and we are the ones living next to it. 4,000 miles north of the Marshall Islands, under 30 meters of Greenland ice, there is a different kind of secret. A secret that the United States Army built in 1960 and quietly abandoned in 1967. Camp Century, a United States Army base built under the Greenland ice sheet. 21 tunnels, 3 kilometers of underground passageways, its own nuclear reactor, and a cover story. The official story was scientific research. The real purpose was Project Iceworm, a plan to hide hundreds of nuclear missiles under the Greenland ice, close enough to the Soviet Union to strike within minutes. The base was classified for decades. In 2024, NASA's radar imaging mission passed over Greenland. The instruments detected something 30 meters beneath the surface. The tunnels, the equipment, the waste, all still there, perfectly preserved by the cold. For now. Their projection, by 2090, under current warming trajectories, the ice above Camp Century will have melted enough to expose the tunnels. The nuclear waste will have a direct path to the ocean. And these are not the only sites. In Washington State, USA, the Hanford Nuclear Reservation holds 56 million gallons of radioactive waste in underground tanks. Some are already leaking. The Columbia River, which flows to the Pacific, runs through the site. 5 sites, 5 countries, 5 different ways the most dangerous material ever created by human hands is escaping the containers that were meant to hold it. This is what governments do not want you to calculate. The ocean does not recognize borders. A contamination event in the Pacific reaches Japan in 18 months, California in 2 years, the Atlantic in 5. The scientists who model these pathways do not argue about whether contamination spreads. They argue about the rate. Every one of these facilities was built on the same assumption, that the Earth would stay the way it was. The ice would stay frozen, the seas would stay low, the concrete would hold. The science of 1960 would be enough for the year 2100. The workers who monitor these sites do not work in secret. They write reports, they file findings, they flag concerns. The information exists. They tune the science. The tunnels are 30 meters deeper than when they were buried. But 30 meters of ice over 47,000 gallons of nuclear waste is not a safety margin. It is a countdown. The people of the Marshall Islands did not choose to be part of this history. They were given 48 hours to leave their homes in 1946. They were told the tests were for the good of all mankind. They are still waiting for the cleanup to begin. The dome will not last forever. The ice will not stay frozen. The tanks will not hold indefinitely. These are not predictions. The only question that matters is who is responsible for what happens next. The ocean that surrounds the Runit Dome connects to every ocean on Earth. The meltwater from Greenland enters the North Atlantic. The Columbia River feeds the Pacific. In 2024, climate scientists updated their models. The Runit Dome could be inundated by 2040 under accelerated sea level rise scenarios. Not 2100, not the distant future, 2040. The concrete was poured in 1977. It was designed for a 25-year lifespan. It is now 47 years old. Nobody is replacing it. Nobody has a plan to replace it. The crack you are looking at right now has been there for years. The workers who come here do their jobs. They measure, they record, they report, and then they leave the island. The dome stays, the plutonium stays. The half-life of 24,000 years does not change because a report was filed. Plutonium-239 will be radioactive for 240,000 years. The dome was built to last 25. Governments have not resolved this contradiction. They have simply chosen not to think about it. The dome is still there.